Picture this. A 14-story metal tower weighing over 25,000 kilograms launches straight up into the sky at over 5,000 kilometers per hour. It punches through the atmosphere, delivers its cargo to the edge of space, and then comes back down, not crashing, not burning up. Landing, perfectly, upright, on a floating platform in the middle of the ocean. Most people see that on video and think it's CGI, some kind of trick, but it's not. It is real engineering, and when you understand how it works, it becomes even more jaw-dropping than the video itself. Because here's the thing, nobody tells you this should be impossible by the logic that drove aerospace engineering for 70 years. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand how SpaceX does this, you'll understand why it changed everything about the future of humanity in space. To understand why what SpaceX does is extraordinary, you first have to understand the insane problem they set out to solve. For every single rocket launch in history, before SpaceX, the rocket was disposable. You build it, you launch it, it does its job, and then it either burns up on re-entry or crashes into the ocean. Gone. Forever. Think about what that means economically. A single Falcon 9 launch costs around $62 million. Meanwhile, NASA's Space Launch System, the old way of doing things, costs over $2 billion per launch. That's not a typo. $2 billion for a single flight. Now imagine if Boeing threw away a 747 every time it flew from London to New York. That's the exact insanity that defined the space industry for 6 decades. The reason? Engineers and scientists had basically accepted a painful truth: getting a rocket back is harder than letting it burn. The physics of re-entry are violent. The heat is catastrophic. The precision needed to bring a vehicle back intact seemed to require more fuel than the rocket even carries. So the industry shrugged and said, it's cheaper to build a new one. Elon Musk looked at that assumption and decided it was wrong. He believed that by landing and reusing boosters, costs could be cut by up to 70%. Engineers at SpaceX called it the key to making humanity a multiplanetary species. If you can't dramatically lower the cost of getting to space, you'll never colonize Mars. Simple as that. But saying it and doing it are very different things. So how exactly did they pull it off? Before we walk through the landing sequence, you need to understand what you're actually looking at when you see a Falcon 9 rocket. The Falcon 9's first stage incorporates 9 Merlin engines and aluminium lithium alloy tanks containing liquid oxygen and rocket-grade kerosene as propellant. Together, they generate more than 1.7 million pounds of thrust at sea level. 1.7 million pounds of thrust, standing still, before it even moves. The flight control system runs on redundant Linux-based computers that process data from accelerometers, gyros, and GPS to constantly adjust thrust and fin angles, keeping the booster precisely on target. It is, in every sense, a flying supercomputer wrapped in aluminium. The rocket has 2 stages. Stage 1, the big bottom section, does the heavy lifting at launch. Stage 2 is smaller, sits on top, and carries the actual payload: satellites, cargo, crew into orbit. After Stage 1 burns through its job, it separates from Stage 2 and begins its journey home. And that journey home is where it gets interesting. What happens next is a ballet of fire, physics, and software that takes roughly 8 minutes from separation to landing. Let's break it down, beat by beat. Step 1. Separation. After the Falcon 9 leaves the atmosphere, the first stage separates from the second stage. This happens at least 50 miles high, but can happen much later if the mission is delivering payload to a higher orbit. Although the first stage is separated, it doesn't immediately begin to descend, coasting for another 50 miles or so as it slows down. At this moment, the booster is in near vacuum, no air resistance, just momentum, gravity, and the cold silence of the upper atmosphere. Step 2. The flip here is where it gets counterintuitive. While coasting, cold gas thrusters flip the first stage 180 degrees so that it descends with the bottom of the engine end facing the Earth. Think about that. The rocket just flipped upside down in space, on purpose. Step 3. The boost back burn. If the mission requires a return to the launch site, the central Merlin engine fires for approximately 30 seconds, reversing the booster's trajectory. This is called the boost back burn. The rocket is essentially hitting the brakes in space and steering itself back toward the landing zone while still traveling at thousands of kilometers per hour. At this point, it's moving at roughly around 3,000 miles per hour. That's nearly 4 times the speed of sound, and it's heading back toward a concrete pad or a floating platform the size of a football field. Step 4. Re-entry and the grid fins. Now comes the most violent part of the entire sequence: re-entry. As the booster plunges back into the atmosphere, the air resistance builds instantly. Friction causes temperatures to spike to levels that would melt ordinary materials in seconds. This is where SpaceX made one of their most clever engineering decisions. The grid fins that steer the Falcon 9's first stage are made of uncoated titanium, the largest titanium forgings in the world, featuring improved thermal performance, capable of withstanding over 1,000 degrees Celsius. Unlike previous aluminum fins, which often required replacement after partially melting during re-entry, the titanium fins are expected to last the entire lifespan of the rocket. These 4 fins fold out at around 70 kilometers of altitude and act like a giant aerodynamic rudder, shifting the rocket's center of pressure to steer it with extraordinary precision through supersonic flight. During the initial descent, 3 Merlin engines perform an entry burn, creating a plasma shield that reduces peak heating by 30%. The rocket is literally using its own exhaust as a heat shield. That is next-level engineering thinking. Step 5, the landing burn. Now the booster is lower, slower, and approaching the landing zone. This is the most technically demanding moment of the entire flight. It has a name in the SpaceX engineering community, the hover slam. The Merlin engines can throttle between 40% and 100% thrust during descent, giving precise control in the final seconds. The computer calculates the exact moment to fire a single engine to bring the vertical speed to almost zero, right at the moment the legs touch down. There is zero margin for error. Fire too early, the rocket runs out of fuel and falls. Fire too late, and it hits the ground too fast and explodes. The computer has to get this right to within fractions of a second every single time. Step 6, legs and touchdown. Landing legs made of carbon fiber struts with aluminum honeycomb cores unfold at about 1,000 feet altitude, spreading to a 19-meter base to keep the booster upright, and then touchdown. The engines cut, the smoke clears. A 14-story rocket is standing perfectly still on a pad, ready to fly again. For missions going to higher orbits where the booster travels further downrange and doesn't have enough fuel to fly back to the launch site, SpaceX built something remarkable: autonomous drone ships, floating ocean platforms with names like "Just Read the Instructions" and "Of Course I Still Love You," names taken directly from a science fiction novel, because SpaceX engineers have a sense of humor that matches their ambition. The autonomous drone ship is a floating platform equipped with GPS, thrusters, and a steel landing pad. It is used when a mission's trajectory sends the booster too far downrange for a land-based pad. These ships hold their position in the middle of the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean using dynamic positioning thrusters, essentially. A ship that can park itself to centimeter precision in choppy seas, while a rocket falls out of the sky toward it. As of August 2025, SpaceX had completed its 400th successful drone ship landing. 400 times a rocket fell from space and landed on a moving platform in the middle of the ocean. The fact that this is now routine should amaze you every single day. The engineering is extraordinary, but the economics are what truly change human civilization. Building a new booster costs roughly $30 million, but refurbishing a recovered one costs under $300,000. That is a 99% cost reduction per flight. As of May 2026, SpaceX has successfully landed Falcon 9 boosters 598 times. Individual boosters have flown as many as 34 flights. Let that sink in. One rocket, 34 flights, taken back from space, inspected, refueled, and launched again, like a commercial airliner. The reusable Falcon 9 has reduced costs per kilogram to orbit from $10,000 down to approximately $2,500, a fourfold reduction. That means universities can now afford to launch experiments. Small countries can put satellites in orbit. Commercial companies that could never touch space before are now operating constellations of hundreds of satellites. The barrier to space, which was once reserved for superpowers with billions to burn, is collapsing. And it's collapsing because a group of engineers refused to accept that throwing away a rocket was the only option. And if you thought landing a rocket on legs was insane, SpaceX just did something even more audacious with their next-generation rocket, Starship. Starship is a 2-stage, fully reusable super heavy lift vehicle where both stages are intended to return to the launch site and land vertically caught by the launch tower itself. No legs, no landing pad. 2 giant mechanical arms on the launch tower, nicknamed Makazilla, literally reach out and catch a 70-meter rocket booster mid-air as it descends. As of May 2026, Starship has launched 12 times with 7 successful flights. It is still in development. It is still failing sometimes. But every failure teaches the system something. And that's exactly how the Falcon 9 was built. Failure by deliberate failure. each one making the next attempt smarter. Here is what I want you to take away from this. For 60 years, the entire human space program accepted as fact that rockets were disposable. That assumption was never truly questioned, it was just the way things were. The physics were hard, the costs were enormous, and so humanity crept into space one expensive, wasteful mission at a time. SpaceX looked at that assumption, did the math differently, and rebuilt the rocket from the ground up around a single idea. What if we got it back? The titanium fins that survive 1,000 degrees, the hover slam that times a single engine burned to within fractions of a second, the drone ships named after sci-fi novels parking in the middle of the ocean, the Linux computers calculating 1,000 decisions per second on the way down. Every single piece of this is intentional. Every single piece was once considered impossible. Live broadcasts of booster landings have garnered millions of views, rekindling excitement for space exploration and inspiring a new generation of aerospace engineers. That excitement is justified, because what SpaceX built isn't just a reusable rocket. It's the proof that the cost of getting humans off this planet, and maybe one day to another one, is not fixed. It can be engineered down, it can be solved, and that changes everything. If this kind of deep dive engineering content is what you're here for, hit subscribe.